So today we want to talk a little bit about feeding your bees. For traditional beekeepers over the last few years, it's become a very common practice to feed their bees sugar water during times when there's not a lot of natural food around for them to eat. And while that has been an acceptable practice and a lot of people do that, studies that I've read just don't seem to indicate that that is a balanced diet for your bees. The experts equate it to feeding your kids a diet of soda pop and candy bars. So they may like it and they may eat it, but it's not necessarily good for them. So what we're trying to do around our apiary is to provide natural food sources for our bees. So we're fortunate to live in an area up here on the mountain that's very heavily wooded. There's a lot of natural vegetation that attracts the honeybees, but we've also contributed to that by planting some areas in clover, in some buckwheat, and those kind of things. We've planted some ornamental flowers and shrubs that are things that you could plant in your garden at home if you live in a rural setting. You could certainly do that to help out the bees in your neighborhood. But we've gone a little bit further and planted, like I said, some pretty large areas of buckwheat and clover. Now our buckwheat is starting to kind of play out. We planted this in, I think, April maybe. It was blooming very heavily during toward the end of June, 1st of July. And when we first brought our honeybee hives up here to the mountains, the bees were loving the buckwheat. But I don't know if you can see this now, but the buckwheat is starting to kind of play out. The flowers are dying back, the plants are seeding out, and so there's not as much for the bees to forage on. So we have planted 3 more additional plots of buckwheat. We've also planted some additional clover to come in a little bit later. So hopefully that's going to provide nutrition for our bees here on the mountain through the dearth of the summer. So this is one of our plots of buckwheat that we replanted. This is going to be our second crop of buckwheat. We planted it about a week ago, and luckily the weather's been conducive to growing buckwheat. It's been really hot during the day, and then we've had a little bit of rain, so it's come up very well. But this is what the buckwheat looks like as it matures. This is what the seeds look like. And I haven't really gotten a straight answer of whether or not the buckwheat that is seeding out, if it will regrow, if it will reseed itself from this or not. So that's why we went ahead and we replanted a couple of different new plots. And yeah, as you can see, it doesn't have to be a big area. It doesn't have to be very smooth and pristine. You're not trying to put in a vegetable garden. You're not trying to provide landscaping or lawn for your yard. You're just trying to provide some forage for the honeybees and other pollinators. And one of the things that we have found is we've been talking with our neighbors and told them what we're doing with the beekeeping, our interest in the pollinators, and the things that we wanted to do to help out the bees in planting areas like this. They've been very supportive of us in allowing us to plant stuff on their property. So this patch here and another patch up the right of way are not even on our property. They're on our neighbor's property, 2 different neighbors. And both of them have told us, anything you want to do for the bees, we are more than happy to support you. So if you don't have enough area, that you don't think that you have enough space to do anything that's going to make a difference, talk to your neighbors and you may find that they will be very supportive in your efforts. We're just trying to make sure that we have enough forage for the bees to last really until the goldenrod comes in up here. This area is covered in goldenrod. It should start blooming toward the end of August. And from what I understand, the honeybees love the goldenrod. It doesn't make the best honey for human consumption. We've heard that it has a very strong taste. It crystallizes very quickly, and it's a darker honey, so a lot of people don't care for it. But it makes for a good food for the bees to carry them through the winter. And as novice beekeepers, this is our first summer beekeeping. We want to do everything we can to prepare our colonies for surviving the winter. So we're hoping that the buckwheat comes in well, and that the goldenrod blooms abundantly, and that our honeybees will be well prepared for wintertime. Okay, so this is one of the little food plots that we put in for our pollinators. It's on our neighbor's property. We made a short video a couple of days ago. You may have seen that. And it cost us maybe $10 to put this in. And that's just because the clover seed is a little bit expensive right now. We have a little John Deere tractor. It took us maybe an hour, hour and a half of labor. And like I said, maybe $10 worth of seeds. And when we approached our neighbor about using part of her property, she was very supportive and said, yes, absolutely, anything that we can do to help the pollinators is good. So just wanted to get the idea that you don't have to put in a lot of effort, you don't have to put in a lot of money or a lot of time, and you can still help out the pollinators. So the yellow clover is good for the honeybees. They like that. The crimson clover is good for the bumblebees, the monarch butterflies that actually migrate through here. And we also know that the local deer will eat it because we've seen deer out here eating it. So it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit of effort, and you can help the pollinators too.